Hello my internet friends, my name is Travis Nielsen. You can usually find me over on the other YouTube channel called Dev Tips, but today Alex invited me to share a little video with you. And what we're going to be doing is looking at how to turn these normal, boring looking checkboxes in your HTML forms into these awesome, sweet, custom looking bad boys right here. So the first thing I want to do is head over to github.com/devtips. And I'm going to click into the DevTips Starter Kit. Now the DevTips Starter Kit is just a kind of exactly what it sounds. It's a place to start your HTML and CSS and JavaScript projects. So download the zip button right here, and when that is finished, open up your index file and let's get started. I'm using Prepros to compile my Sass and to keep track of my project as I work, to do things like refresh my browser and such. And there's a happy, like a work log here to let you know that everything's working just fine. Now that I have that set up, I'm going to open my index.html and my pages-index.sass, and these are the two files that I'll be working in today. Now what we want to do is we want to talk about checkboxes. So let me show you how to just make standard checkboxes. Usually they're found inside of forms, and for this demonstration we don't need any of those. Okay, and usually you'll have a label, and then inside of there an input. Type is going to be checkbox, and name can be check1, check. Okay, and then you're going to need some type of text, so I'll say checkbox, or I'll just say item 1. All right, now let's save. This is the result. We have a tick box here that you can click, and you can also click the label. Because the input is inside of the label, it's just a natural browser thing that you can click labels to affect the status of the checkbox, whether it's checked or unchecked. If the checkbox is outside of the label, let me do that and save. That's not going to work. You see I'm clicking this label here, and the only way I can get this checkbox to work is if I click the checkbox itself. So we're going to take advantage of that, and I'm going to move that input back into the label so that it works just fine. Okay, now let's just make a few more so that I can feel good about myself, like this is actually a form or something. Maybe, I don't know, all good things come in threes, so let's just do 3. I could do this with CSS, but let's just break between each of these form items, or each of these checkboxes. Okay, so that's kind of all the markup we need right now. That's pretty simple. Let's jump into our styles. The first thing I want to do is kind of just cosmetic. I want to move this stuff away from the edge of the page. There's no margin on this page, and it's making me anxious. So I'll put some padding. Let's say 50 pixels. There we go. That looks much nicer. And we can see now that our Prepros is compiling, and we can see that it's automatically refreshing our browser. You can see how fast that snapped over. All right, the first thing I want to do is talk about the label. And so I'll make a selector for label. Now, I showed you already that you can click on the label to get the checkbox to turn into a checked state. But notice my cursor is still in the default, it's not a pointer. It just doesn't look like a hyperlink. And so I want to like kind of change that. This is not a part of making it work, but I just like it better. So the CSS property of cursor pointer is kind of a lesser known one, but it's a really handy one to make things appear to be links or to appear to be a little bit more clickable. Now, what I want to do is target that checkbox input, because it's inside of the label, and you do it like this. If you say any input inside of a label, that will also be, like a text field or like a radio button or a submit button if it's inside of a label. So we want to narrow down the input by using a type selector, or an attribute selector, the type of check box. Now only the inputs that are the type of checkbox will get selected by this selector. And we'll say that we're going to use another pretty advanced selector. Now I do have a tutorial all about advanced selectors on DevTips, and you can either click on the link in the description down below or like click right here for the next 2 seconds. And you can go to a video that's about advanced CSS selectors. This is one called the adjacent sibling selector. And what it does is it doesn't go to, a parent-child relationship. It talks to the next adjacent sibling, which in this case, if we look back at our markup, we had the input. Actually, we need to make an item here. Let's say WSpan. Okay, now we actually have an item in there. What I want to do is I'm going to grab that adjacent item, and it's going to be called label text, and use another advanced selector called a pseudo selector, so before. Now this allows me to put what's called a shadow element into the DOM. It's actually creating fake nodes inside the DOM and not inside of our HTML markup. And I'll show you how that works. If I write content, and this only works because I'm in before, and there's also another pseudo selector called after, but I want to use before. So if I say content and then I say hello and save, you'll notice that the one that had the span, which is the label text that I selected, it has actual content in the selector, or actual content in the label. So it's between the checkbox and the content that's in the span, right? It's injecting whatever content we're giving it. And that's important to remember because we'll be doing something really cool in just a few seconds. Now I'm going to move this selector down a little bit, and here in the input, now again I'm focusing back on the actual input item, the little checkbox. I'm going to say display none. And that removes the checkbox. So I'm still checking these things when I'm clicking on them, but the result is you don't see any changes. And having this hello here as a content inserted into the DOM, I can actually harness that and say, for example, if the checkbox is, I'll say and checked here, then the sibling selector, so this will override the one right above it, label text before will turn into content goodbye. Okay, so when I uncheck it, it'll say hello, and then you check it, it'll say goodbye. Right? Does that make sense what's happening here? I'm actually changing DOM elements based on a checkbox that is actually hidden. It's display none. We hit it right here on line number 8. So this is cool. Now we have an organization of our styles set up to where we can insert our own style of checkbox in there. It could be an image. In this content here, you can write. Let's find a checkbox. I don't know. A checkbox image. Okay, this one. View image. Okay. Okay, let's say checked is going to look like that. So I think it's URL like that. I can't remember. Yeah, okay. So what's happening here is this checkbox is like, when it's checked, it turns into this big It looks stupid. But the point is, you can put words there, you can put images there, and what we're going to focus on right now is find the right icons. And we're going to use Font Awesome for that. They have a lot of awesome form controls. So I'm going to use this for checked and basically the empty square here for unchecked. So I found the CDN. Get started. Okay, so I found the CDN, and here is the CSS kind of just written out for you to use. Now I'm going to copy this URL, and in my Sass, I'm going to go up to the top and write @import, and then 2 quotations, and then the address of the CSS, and Sass will just import it into the file that it's using to render our CSS now. Okay, so this is a part of my CSS now, all of this work, and I'm just doing that really quickly. There's better ways, more efficient ways to get just 2 or 3 icons into your project, but I'm showing you this just now, just kind of a quick trick. Now that I have those icons in the font imported into my CSS, I need to call them into that before a pseudo selector in my CSS, and I'll do that here right under this selector. And you do that by saying font family, and I think it's just font with capital font awesome. And then there's a few other styles that I need to put there to make sure the font renders well, like, you know, no anti-aliasing, don't speak it, font weight normal, and just things like that. And also I want all the fonts to be the same, the area for the fonts to be the same size, so I'll say width is going to be 1em. All right. Now that we have the fonts ready, we need to take that big checkbox that we had here and replace it with a single character. That one font that we liked, it's called FA Check Square. So let's go back into that CDN served file and look for FA, is it check? Dash square. SQ, this one right here. See where it says content, right? That's exactly what we wanted. So just paste that right in there and make sure there's a space between the colon and the quotes. There we are. So when it's checked, it's got a checkbox right there, and when it's unchecked, it says hello. So let's remove the hello bit by putting FA square -O. Okay, and grab that content right there. All right, now it's checked and unchecked. I want to put a little bit of margin right so that we can space out the, suss out the space between the checkbox and the label, and it's going to be like 5 pixels or something. Yeah, that looks better. You see how the text is jumping over 1 pixel right there? That's because I made the font, I made the width 1em, but that won't work because it's just a font character, which is just a static element. So I need to change the display for this width to work to inline block. There we go, and that works a lot better. Great, 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 great. Okay, so let's go into our index here and wrap these other text nodes in these spans so that we can have icons all around. Boop. Looks good, looks good. Okay. So all we have to do really from at this point is kind of just sort out the different styles that we need in the different states. So overall, I want all of them to be the color of 666, which is a nice medium gray. There we are. And then I want the checked to have a bluish color, and I've chosen 06 A3 E9. There you go. If it's checked, it gets this nice happy blue color. And what's cool about this, let me uncheck the display. So we have also the checkbox near it and the one that we put in. They look kind of similar, but here's a really cool feature. that if you increase the size of your checkbox, you see these, the checkbox to the left here, this is the native one. It's like it doesn't size up with the text very well. So that's another reason I like these custom checkboxes, is that, you know, if you're looking at them on mobile or a Retina screen, they're just going to look, I don't know, they're going to size a little bit better with your label text. That's just one thing I noticed. So we also have to get another icon. I'm going to do this one, FA square with a not 0 behind it. Here, this one. And this is going to be for the disabled state. So we want to say, I'll just put that there. So not when it's checked, but when it's disabled. We want the content to be this. And I want the color to be like CCC or something like that. A nice gray. Let's remove the display none from this font, and I'll go into the input here and make it disabled. You see how that disabled? I can't click on it now, and I have an appropriate icon via the Font Awesomer icons right here. But I can check these ones. So one more thing. So I'm going to go in actually before the before, and I want to make the color of the whole label text like 999 or something, maybe even AAA. Yeah, so it's a little bit, it's more obvious that it's grayed out. Cool. The awesomeness of custom checkboxes don't stop there. Because it's literally a thing that we can control, it's a custom element, we can do awesome things like animate it in or something like that. Let me show you how easy this is. I'm going to go under here to the root. Now I'll just write keyframes, and then we can set up an animation. I don't want to call this keyframe like ticks, like when you tick the box. So we'll say, let me scoot that up. We'll say from and then to. In the from, I want to put transform, and I'll put scale in here, 0. And then in the to, I'll put transform to 1. So it's going from nothing, from like so small you can't see it, all the way to it full size, 1. And then the keyframes, so I have to go here to text when it's checked. We want the animation to happen when it's checked, and I'll say animation tick, and I want it to be 150 milliseconds, and then I want to make the easing be ease in. All right, let's see what we got. There you go. You see that animation? Boop. Kind of nice. It kind of floats into the right spot. I can also, like, I can take that further. So see how we're doing from and to? Why don't I do 0%, and then to will be 100%, and percent, and then I can kind of grab this and duplicate it right here. I want to make this like 90, I guess, and make it go past 1, so it'll go out and in. So it'll go whoop like that, and I want to say like 1.3 or something. Yeah, maybe that works. All right, refresh. Ooh, it's got like a more of a pop to it. More of a pop. Let's make it even bigger. 1.4. Nice. Should we slow it down a little bit? 180 milliseconds. Oh, let's see how it looks small. That's really pleasant. That's really pleasant to see. I like that a lot. Hey guys, thanks so much for watching this video. I hope that you start using custom styled checkboxes with CSS. We didn't use any JavaScript. It's all just cool selectors in CSS. Now, if you did enjoy this tutorial and you want to look a deeper look at the code, I'm putting the code on GitHub at the DevTips, github.com/devtips, and you can find that repository. There's a link to that repository in the description there below. And if you enjoyed this video and you want to see other videos that I do, please join me on the Dev Tips channel where I release a new video every Monday. In fact, we just finished a community-driven portfolio site from start to finish. It's amazing. It's over 23 videos. It's 10 hours of content. Please go and I don't know, check that out. It's really cool. You know, the people who are watching, you guys basically were submitting code to it, and I like that stuff. So we're going to be doing more of that stuff in the future. So thank you so much for watching, and thank you to Alex. Big thank you to Alex for letting me kind of just talk to you guys for a little bit. I hope you learned something, and thank you so much for your time. Take care and keep on hacking. Bye, everyone.